guys. Come on. You got a bark? Get down. What are you doing? Hey, you gotta go inside. Come on. Let's go. Let's go to the tree. Give me just 1 second. Come on. Hey. Let's go to the tree. Come on. Now. Hurry. Boy. My bad. So, welcome to Tree Talk, episode 10. We're a little late. As always, that's my fault. I can't get used to the time change. Like, it's still daylight right now a little bit, so that's got me all messed up. And I had to run to the grocery store, do a few things. So, my bad. So we'll start this one out. I'm just gonna wing this one. If you guys want, let me move to a little better spot. If you guys want to, I can do a few like rope tricks if you want them, but I think more than like a trick this time, I'll do a tip. Let me put some lights on because it's getting dark, and it'll be dark by the time I get to talking. Just a little bit of light. Okay. So, put out a video. You guys may have seen it, maybe you haven't. But that was the second half of, I'm trying to think of what the beginning of that video was. Oh, or even what the video was. It was the second half to the cicada tree, the locust trees. So, what's going on, Billy? Who we got here? Soy Elru? Soy Yelru. Hopefully I pronounced that right. My apologies if I didn't. What's going on? Hi. Should I sub to you? You know what, Will? Guyton? You can if you want to, brother. We just do a lot of tree stuff here. Working with trees. A lot of manual labor tricks, tools, stuff like that. I think if you relate to me, then yeah, have at it. It's pretty constant content. I'm not going to shove a bunch of stuff down your throat, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. Angelica, what's going on? So, Kelly, what's going on, buddy? Is tree stuff a euphemism? Pretty much, just kind of like tree talk, but it gives us a basis to create the conversation, I guess. So, my name is Jake. What's going on, Jake? Yeah, so, do you support furries? Oh my. Sure. Always, yeah. I don't know about all that, but yeah, sure. So, I showed up and there was a gnarly dead tree that I had to take down. Happy Pride Month, Kylie. So, yeah, I showed up. It was insane. It was falling apart. Pretty scary. You teach lots? I try. I try, Dizzo. Um, Blake, what's up? Wow. It's hard to keep up with the comments, but I'm trying. Can I have mod? Can I have mod? Holy smokes. No, no offense, but are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm pretty okay. I don't know. Salty cucumber. Wow, there's some wild ones. A lot of you guys I have never seen, never talked to. So welcome. I am. Whoa, I got way behind on comments. I just jumped back. So sorry about that. I will try my best to. My friend, I don't know what you are doing with your life, but you are. Wow. Well, we got some crazies. So Billy's got his work cut out for him. I'm just gonna go into. So I show up. The tree is literally falling apart. Um, I see like one section that maybe could have enough health to it that I could use for accessing everything else and setting up rigging. It's an ash tree. It's covered in like a bunch of ivy and stuff, which a lot of times is the reason for. Yeah, Billy, I'm sorry. I may have to like stop this live feed here in a second and restart it because like that was madness. I don't know what just happened there, but I've never had a live feed do that. DJ Tony, I don't what brought all the mass amount of new people in, but I mean, I guess that's cool. It's pretty wild. I apologize though, Billy. Is there anyone next to you? No. Nope, I'm by myself. What's up, Kickface? So, you got me covered, Billy? Right on. Yeah, I'm. My apologies, buddy. You look like you're having to work overtime here. But I show up, it's falling apart. The tree just looks super bad. But I've done a lot of the mash, and I was kind of like, I had gotten to where I was kind of trying to predict what had happened there, and I shouldn't have done that. Biggest thing, and I think a biggest tip that I give to anybody that's doing a job like that is the inspection process should be extensive. If it's in bad shape, it's dangerous, it should be a further inspection than you would normally do. So that's where I messed up in this upcoming videos you'll be watching, and it was a big mess up. I didn't even notice this until we decided to put a bollard and strap it in around the tree, and as we did that, it was horrible. I don't know what happened, like what I was thinking, why I wouldn't walk around the backside of the tree, but there's an enormous, I mean, probably it's I don't know 3 feet sections, like it's that big around of ash that kind of grew out at like a 45-degree angle and then one horizontal with the ground. And I don't know how this thing was possibly holding itself up. After I messed with it for a while and like thought I could come up with a plan, as I start up the backside, I see that the tree's falling apart. And it is insane. I feel like the biggest idiot in the world because I should have walked up to the tree, walked around the backside of it, and looked. But I just did. And as I went to go up it, you couldn't put a spike in it because it was falling apart. And there was thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of weight and stress on this section. And it just, honestly, it's still to this day. I don't know how this thing held up. So, Ryan, what's going on? Going pretty good. Or Rylan, sorry. What's up, Jeffrey? Man, it got wild there for a second. I don't even know what that was all about, but holy smokes. At first, I don't know. That became madness out of nowhere, didn't it? Just came across your channel. I subbed. Keep going, brother. G Nasty. Was yeah, I dig that name. That is awesome. John Maris forgive. Yeah. Um. So I would say the biggest tip I could give you if you're attacking any kind of job like that let's like change it up and say it's a car you're working on or fixing, and you're gonna go take it out and race it afterwards, which makes it dangerous. You would inspect everything so that you don't end up wrecking. So I didn't, and I was already tied in and headed up, and I was like, well, I could access it a little better on the backside. So I swung around to the back, and there was a section 5 times my size that was rotten on the backside of this tree, and it was like you couldn't. It was crumbling apart. There was like there was. It's. I may post a picture on the community page right after this of just the rot because it's probably gonna take me a little bit to get the video finished up, but I'm working on that one and I'll get it out pretty quick. But this was probably one of the scariest ones I've ever done. So that rotted section that went over, there was another section just as big. There was 3 of them that went together on this ash. I had to rig out all the stuff over the house, and it was on a different stem. So what I did is that stem that had that whole rotten, it was completely rotted. I bet there was, if I was to guesstimate how much of the tree was alive and actually holding as a percentage, I would say there was maybe 20%, if that, of an outer ring that was holding on the side towards the house. But if you walked around in the back, I've never been this stupid. So like I don't notice it till I start to climb up and I'm like, oh my god, no. Well, okay, from the ground it looks like I can access everything over there. What I'll do is I'll get a rigging point over here in this stem, and I won't impact this stem at all. I will just cut from it and let things swing. Then I go ahead and I'm like, well, I'll go up and I'll start working this up. I'll get a good rigging set up, spread some rings out, and rig as much as I can. It ends up being a couple day um, process to get it down, and I don't actually take all of it down. I leave the back stems, which were straight and green. But yeah, I'm gonna post a pic of it because it was ridiculous. It was really. I've never, I've never been this like blind. And the bad part is the like guy who owned the place, because he apparently has a renter, he had never seen it either. So I like after like literally the grace of God, I went out on that stem twice and got back down because I thought I could do it, and I built all my confidence up from the ground, and I got out there. I started to access it. I got most of the way there, and I felt the movement that was happening below me. And if you notice, I'm acting like you guys have seen some of it. We showed up, and there was a section that was like this big that broke off the main stem, and it was spongy, foamy, like falling apart right. And after they get like that, a good rain, what happens is when they're like foamy, like a softwood, and they get rotten, they soak up rain and become crazy brittle. Soft maples, our ash trees, a lot of that stuff, they're way weaker during a rain. They soak a lot of it up. Hardwoods don't really soak it up as bad, but yeah, I've had my neighbor's tree falls apart repeatedly in every rainstorm, but I accessed it a few times and I thought I couldn't do it, but finally I did end up accessing it. I just committed, used a few climbing tricks to do it, and then it started to rain. And I started thinking about that rotten punky section at the bottom that I was out on, and I started to spaz. But the rain, I think, forced me to just put blinders on and go for it. So, you ever have a trim job turn into a removal job in the same day? Yeah, yeah. I've I've told people like how ridiculous something will look, you know, and they want it cut, and then you cut it, and they're like, yeah, that looks stupid. So they're like, go ahead and take it down. So that's happened more times than it's not. Yeah, it's happened a few times. So I just say that, John. So Chris. Your pic would be cool until the video. Yeah, I'll post a pic. Cassie, what's going on? DJ, what's up, brother? Mr. Saber, how was hit by Billy? YouTube must actually be like suggesting my channel right now, which is wild. That's a first. Squirrely John, especially when you're already trimmed the tree, had a Friday pointed out. It included bark in a large section leaning towards the house, and the customer immediately decided to remove it. Yeah, I mean, that's teach us not, CM says. Okay, let's go to the shed where I got some actual light, guys. Give me just a second, I'll carry you over there. Alright. I feel so strong, I am literally carrying you two. How many of there is there? There's like 10 of you guys. That's a lot of weight. I did it with one arm too. That's what's even crazier. Oh, come on. That thing's gonna break one of these times. You're still getting the crazy trickle in every once in a while, aren't you, Billy? Okay, so... What's up, Steve? A real strong one. Trying to stay cool. Dang, you're strong. Yeah, I try. I don't work out or nothing. These are all natural. That's all it takes to hike my body up into a tree, so... That's a cool way to store your ropes. I think I showed that in a video. But it's real simple. You just twist the rope around after you double it once. And then when you go to get it out, it's pretty easy too. With the daisy chain for the end. But what I'll show you is a little bit of a trick for a redirect. So this will help some of the climbers and stuff too. And it's a really good little trick if you find yourself out on a really long limb walk or you're getting really far away from your tie-in point. And let's say sometimes you'll get a tie-in point, you'll get out on the limb, and then originally as you were causing compression into it, it seems safe. But say you got to climb over to a section of the tree that if you placed all your weight into it, you would be pulling it in the worst direction. You start to scare that maybe it could break and stuff. So I'll show you how to do a redirect that will totally, you can use as a complete transfer, as a complete, like a total separate tie-in. And you can also just use it as a backup. Like say you're afraid your original would fail, this one would work as a full backup, and they could actually, if you get them tight enough, they could work in unison and kind of share your weight. So not much, Mike. Just got out of the hospital. Been there for about 7 months now. Feeling better. What happened, man? What up, Ground Pounder? So, yeah, what happened, Steve? New or just health stuff? Okay. So, what I'll do is I find myself a lot of times I'll be out on something SRT and my tie-in's way over here, or let's say you get above your tie-in and you're like, man, this is a better point than my original point, so why even leave that one? So a lot of times I'll throw in like a midline knot right above my climbing device, and you can do whichever one you want. I'll show you alpine butterfly and the circus knot, which I prefer, but you can choose whichever one you want. You can do a double overhand. It's up to you. So put it like this. So I think I may have did one too many, but it just adds another hitch onto it. I've heard people call this a triple bowline too. So what you end up with this. So if I was climbing here, and this was my original tie-in point, now I can go ahead and I can leave slack in that if I want, and then I can hook this up. Or I can move this knot and get it good and tight. And if you hook this up, now you're climbing on and your weight's moved from there, and when you drop your weight into your saddle, it's on your new location. So if I wanted to like share the load, I would make sure I get that knot in just the right spot. That way when I put my weight in, it's compressing the two a little bit together. But that's always kind of sketchy if you're in that spot where you worry that if you pull it the right way that it could break. So let me kind of shut the door. I'm getting bugs all in here already. Take long. Try to stay up on comments too. Dang, I got behind on comments again. The three ring, I've heard it called. Yeah, I like that name. The three ring, I've heard it called. Yeah, because circus, not the three ring. I kind of like that because it does. What it does is it puts in three ring, like there's a ring there. Like if you, it's that does make sense. I kind of like that. We may go with that, Squirrely John, and start calling it that. I'll probably keep calling it circus knot because that's just what I've trained my brain. But yeah, so in my climbing system, I would just put this up above, and then you totally have changed your tie-in point, and it's a really good redirect if you needed to get it to go together. You could take, and I would use like a speed line strap, throw it around the tree with a carabiner and clip into that, or you could hook your stuff up around a stub or something. But I would clip in with a speed line strap. That's the way I always done it. But here you go. So I showed you circus knot, and I'll show you slower. So there's three loops there. One, two, three. The way it works is you pick up one. Hang on. I was doing it in reverse because I'm looking at myself. All right. So you pick up the first one, grab this. I hate when I do stuff like this because I feel like I just forgot. Okay. Yeah. My bad. Yeah, I'm the guy that should be teaching you. No. So you grab the second one, lift it up, and then start. You grab back, grab this one, pull it up. Then grab the front one, pull it up. And then grab the back one again and pull it up. And when you dress it out, you end up with a really clean midline knot that's really, really easy to untie. In my opinion, it's easier than the Alpine butterfly, but I mean, that's up to you. Everybody has a preference. But the way this one unties is really nice because it's like it's got these little locks all over it in different spots. So you would just move one of them, move those little rings, and it comes out pretty easy. I think I may have grabbed the wrong spot, but the Alpine butterfly is almost pretty much the same, but you reach under and grab the second one, bring it out and up over the top, and then grab both ends again and draw it down. Um, the way that you know you tied an alpine butterfly right is that you get two different sides. One side of the knot should have the ropes crisscrossed on it. The other side should have them parallel. So the reason you would want a knot like this is like as opposed to other ones is because this one, if you pull on it in any direction, it's not going to overload and like lock down. This one you can put in the middle of a rope and it doesn't require you to run all the rope through to do it. So there's one side, they're parallel, and on this side, they're crossed. So that same knot you could use to do the redirect. So had a car accident, broke a lot of bones. No, dang, Steve. Well, hopefully you're healing up quick. Dang, brother, hate that. That's how I do my fishing rigs. Are you in the day room? Nope, just my little workshop. Really falling out of the trees tonight. Yeah, Billy, I'm telling you. Dude, I seen some of the wildest stuff there at the beginning, and there was like a horde of like random women names that came on there. It was hi, hi, hi. I'm like, what? I'm so used to the few of you guys that are always here and the ones I talk to. I found out like I find this so silly. I appreciate you guys more than you realize because of the fact that you'll comment and like not I don't feel like any of you guys are insecure. And when you watch somebody repeatedly and like never talk like never say anything, but I guess some people hate watch stuff. I mean, I don't know, man. YouTube's a wild, wild place. Happy early Father's Day out there. Yeah, you too, brother. I got fuel and start all my saws today. Right on. Well, take your time, Steve. Don't rush into it. Oh, Steve, you couldn't find anybody to practice with. That was pretty good. I like that. Just a guy named Tom. Do you have to time him out, Tom? I had a shit ton of videos to catch up on. Something to do on recovery. Yeah, I haven't caught up. I'm so tired right now. I'm so far behind on videos too. Um, I caught up on a couple like shorts, and then I was watching Guilty of Treasons, and it must be like almost a 2 hour video. It's just been going on forever. I ended up being like, oh my god, it's time to start the live. So play Casey Jones by the Grateful Dead on Chainsaw. What the heck? Oh man, he already got timed out. That's funny. This must be like prime time on YouTube that people are on it or something because they are wilding tonight. And I kind of think it's funny, but I feel sorry for Billy because you can leave it if you want, Bill. I don't even care. They ain't gonna bother me none. But yeah, I like you guys because you're not insecure. I find it to be like there's guys that I know and I always thought watch my stuff, and then I find out for sure that they do, but they've never said hey or anything. Like they try to pretend like they don't know me, and that stuff's weird. I find that strange because I don't do anything except for help people. What's up, Dan? How you been, brother? So yeah, I don't know. I find it strange. Like at no point do you ever say something. I don't know. I don't know. I've been there before where you feel insecure and you don't want to leave a comment because you don't want to embarrass yourself. Like I've been there. I've been embarrassed by people that I thought was really cool, and that came back to be like, well, okay, now I'm embarrassed and I don't feel like that person's near as cool as I thought they were. So that's why you guys should never go out of your way to meet me because I'm a disappointment as it is. Ask Ground Pounder. Got new shirts and logos in the works. Dude, that's what I was trying to do just the other day. But everywhere I go is like closed when I go. I don't even know. It's been so aggravating. I've been trying. Dang, Billy, are you working overtime? Colton Clay? Colton Clay must be a little he may be a little insecure himself. I should have looked up at the camera when my glasses fell down and just been cool. I didn't even get to see what the people say. Bro, shut up. Um, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to just show you a bunch of silly rope stuff because I feel like the guy that wanted the rope trick, he like said it and then left. So anything tomorrow? Going for a test on Monday morning. Going. Oh no! Not a disappointment. Aw. Well, thank you. Save kids from Africa and bring back Prime Fortnite. That's funny. No, I'm still oh, I'm still taking it. Right on, see him. Okay, right on. Well, my bad. I apologize. I thought you bailed already, but and I don't work in the trees. That's awesome. So you just want to know stuff. Well, here's a cool one to just like store ropes and stuff. Um, you can daisy chain even when you like if you were tying a knot. That same thing applies. I never use this, but I totally get why guys do. When you put a daisy chain slip knot, I've never used that, but I get where it would be good. But I think isn't there a way where you can mess it up somehow if you don't double twist or something? But do you know how to make handcuffs out? Yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah. No, I don't. I just tie a bunch of knots. Here's a good way to store your extension cords and stuff too. Wrap coils. Take it like this after you get enough of them. Grab, cross the rope over, go around, and cross over the top, and then kind of down on that and get that part tight. It'll pull it together. You can finish wrapping a bunch of times, and then take your finger, run it through, and then daisy chain it up. That's how I tie all my ropes. And it used to drive me crazy when I would show up like my cousins and uncles and stuff, they just have their ropes in the back of their truck just sitting there all knotted up. And they would be like, grab the rope out of the back of my truck. Oh, so I would just, after I learned it, I wrapped non-stop. I'd wrap any rope. This message is held for review. I have an asshole finish. Is it normal? Um, idiots. Idiots are real. No, no, it's not. But hey, to each their own. To each their own. I got too much going on in life to be trying to judge somebody else. So you just keep being your weird self, and sure you'll find a woman one day or man. I mean, actually, yeah, we'll switch it up. We'll go with the second one. I live in Tennessee, and the daisy chain is what I was taught. Really, that's really cool. Didn't use anything else until I took my first. Oh, that's really cool, Chris. Yeah, see, I never really knew that one. And when I seen it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I get that. Because that's what I do a lot of times if I'm tying a load off. Um, we'll take the rope. We'll go around a tree because we put a rope down with a loop in it so you can cinch the whole load up. We'll go around a tree with the rope and we'll go over the top of it, bring it back around, and then bring it over the top again. And then a lot of times I'll just daisy chain it here. That way no one has to sit there and like hold the rope, and I can pull off and then go back and undo the daisy chain, and then the wraps on the rope where they go back and forth keep it from ever actually tying a knot. And you can always get your rope off. I've seen it's funny when you go to the city dump where you get a lot of guys that maybe have never done anything like that before. All the trees around there have little pieces of rope tied to them where guys have tied their load off, and then as they took off it tightened down and they couldn't get in, they just cut the rope. It's kind of funny, but that's wild. Daisy chain is where it's at. I use 90% of the time for rigging. Really, yeah, I'm not I'm not a knot tying guy really. Like I tie a lot of knots, but not really for my rigging a lot of times. I'll do speedline straps with a metal beaner in the middle, and I will put that midline knot that I showed you, the circus knot. I just set my rigging up, and I think what the reason I probably do this a lot and why like it became my routine is because I use rigging rings, and the having a knot in the rope will keep it from ever running out, and losing your rope where it pulls itself back out. So at the end of mine, I always put the circus knot. If I got enough tail, you tie a stopper knot if you want, but it's a midline knot, so it's not slipping this direction or that direction. But your little stopper knot. But I'll go with speed line straps around the tree and then clip a metal beaner in. The benefit you get from that is it's really quick. You can have them set up and ready to go, and you're never side loading a carabiner. I've just always been a beaner kind of guy, so I always had a snap, or sometimes I guess I've maybe tied knots, maybe a few times, but usually it's when I get into really big wood, then I have to. That's when I get to doing knots. So I used to use the daisy chain instead of the bowline all the time, and I probably will again once I get going again. Everyone in this area, tree legs, show it. Oh, right on. Yeah, I know that's the benefit I think to ground powder. The benefits that daisy chain is how quick it is to untie and undo. Yeah, but I've seen where guys will untie it the wrong way though, and I've untied one the wrong way where I set a daisy chain up and I accidentally took one loop out wrong, and when I did that, it locked the whole thing, and I have to undo it loop by loop by loop, and oh, it's so aggravating. If you've ever, if you, I feel like if you've tied a daisy chain enough times and untied it, you've made that mistake somehow. I don't even remember what I made it on. It was something silly. Like, oh, it was on some headphones. The wire was too long on the headphones, so I daisy chained a big section of it up so I could ride and not have it whipping behind me. I even used the daisy chain to my boat. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, all these knots, I feel like they're not just useful. I've had to tow people out and all kinds of stuff. And I have a really big thick rope that I bought a bag of rope from Tree Stuff one time, and they sent me like it was two full bags, and it was a long time ago. It was probably maybe almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But they sent me this three strand, huge, like inch and a half rope that was gnarly, and I still have it in my truck. I still use it. And I've towed people so many times with that rope, and I've also pulled a bobcat out of a sinkhole with a tree jack, some pulleys, and that rope is the anchor to it. So yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where I find myself tying knots, ground pounders, when I get into the bigger stuff. Yep, Jeffrey. That's usually because a lot of times you just if I'm having to hook up to something big, um, the issue is that side loading on the carabiner, or the carabiner taking the impact when the tree hits the trunk. So I've seen where carabiners will break when they hit, um, or bend like crazy. So yeah, you especially when you're doing like negative rigging, you get into big chunks. You're gonna have to get to where you're tying a lot, some more knots. Um, when it comes to um, like my stopper knots on mine, or if I'm tying up, shoot, what do I use it on the most? I don't even know. Like I feel like I use it all the time though. But yeah, if I'm tying a carabiner to the bottom of the rope or the end of the rope, a lot of times I'll use like a scaffold knot or double fisherman. Or, I don't even know what it's called, but those different knots depend on what you're doing. Like when I used to climb taut line, and to where you're climbing like you know climbing off of a crotch like this, I would tie a total different knot because I had a clip to clip in, but it was one of the big clips, where you got to hold the back and clip big metal ones. So I would have to tie a knot in it. So you could do different knots, but the thing was I wanted my rope to travel the direction over to here. And so you don't want the rope coming out over here, and you don't want it so much going up. You want it to be almost coming out over here. So this knot worked perfect for, in this situation, but most stuff I probably would never use this knot. But because it ends up, I think it's probably the double fisherman or the opposite one, but it puts your rope to where it comes out over this way, which is really nice. It just depends on what you're needing to do with the rope. So if you're needing to use it as a second tie-in point, or like to tie in and make knots repeatedly, you would you wouldn't want it coming out that top. That way, the whole time you're using it, it's like field dressing it the wrong way. So the way this one works, I think I may have put one too many loops. It puts the rope out the side, which is where I want it. If you'd have done that same thing instead of going uh, horizontally, and you took those knots and went vertically, the rope would have came out which that's the one I use to tie on a carabiner because I don't want the rope coming out sideways and catching stuff. That knot totally changes, and where I would have a carabiner clipped in here, I start to go upward with the knot. Same thing. And I think I may do too many loops a lot of times, but you end up, it's so hard to dress it if you don't have like an actual carabiner in it. But what you end up with is your rope coming out the top and it's back away from it. So I could take like, put a little piece of tape and like everything ends up being real clean. And then when you're ready to tighten it down, you just slide the rope down and clip it down on there. The knot ends up being real clean and the rope is going away from your stuff. That same knot, I think, I don't know, I think that's the scaffold. The other one's the double fisherman. It just depends on how the rope exits. A lot of times I feel like, but I use this same one, this same knot to tie on like X rings and stuff. So if I needed to tie a ring to the end, and then I can take and tape this up, and as I'm using it, I can pay attention to if it's pulling on that tape. So it's like it's the if there's any slipping going on by kind of if there's any movement where I put the tape at. But yeah, it's and plus it's a really good cinch down knot. So the best rigging rope I've used hands down. Oh shit, sorry. I use for when it comes to rigging ropes, I use Husky bull ropes from All Gear. All Gear have never. That is definitely not a paid plug. They don't. I don't think they really mess with me, which I don't know why, but it is what it is. Um, they have their guys, I guess, but I sh- I feel like their prices have went up, but they used to be really, really, really affordable back when I was buying this stuff, and it turned out it was what I could get more local, so a bit inferior in the way it was manufactured sometimes, as far as the rings. I feel like they weren't coated correctly, but the ropes always I love the climb ropes and I use the rigging ropes because that's the only ones I've ever had the opportunity really to buy. I use a 5/8 Husky bull rope and I use a 9/16 Husky bull rope, and I love them. They've been amazing ropes. Yeah, Steve, I could screw anything up if I try, or if I'm not trying hard enough. I'll set a steel beater on a rigging rope if I'm using a spar to make positive rigging back to the same spot repeatedly. Oh yeah, yeah. It's just there's that big difference. It's predictable when your rigging points up above. There's not that crazy drop in and chance of side loading, but and it becomes really quick when you get to that stuff and you're looking for just efficient. Keep the pieces small but be efficient. So you're just shooting pieces out instead of setting it up and then making this one big massive cut. But still, anytime you can get your rigging point above what it is you're rigging, it becomes way more predictable. The ability to pre-tension's actually there, and you know it's much easier. There's not that shock load of impact like there is when it comes from above it and gravity takes over and drops that weight into the system. So yeah, I agree. It becomes efficient to have that beaner then. So going to rig once more all day. I'm just put a beater on. Yeah, 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 that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of times if I'm setting a rigging point up, if I know that I'm like gonna be rigging that one spot, like yeah, you're totally right, and I'm not gonna change it. Then I'll tie a steel beater on the end. But if not, and I'm gonna be changing it, I will tie that alpine butterfly on the end of the rope, or circus knot on the end of the rope, and just speed line straps and clip them in. Speed line straps and clip them in. Because I have a couple steel rigging beaters that I like. If I had a preference, I would always choose to have those screw locking steel carabiners. I think those, to me, I trust way more than the ones that are the three, locking kind. So, wow, we had a wild live feed so far. Like, this place has been chaotic. I wonder what some of the messages actually were, and how. A couple people told me that I'm gonna unlive a couple times at the beginning. And then someone asked, is there someone next to me? And then they told me I was going to die. And I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? This live feed got crazy out of nowhere. So, like, right from the get go, I need to make sure, Billy, thank you for holding down the law here. So, how I pull a tow truck out of a ditch one snowy night with my Maze Dam rope puller and a 5-to-1. Yeah, yeah, it'll get it done. I used one, and I think there's a video of it where I pulled a stump out of the ground with one. And you can get some mechanical advantages different ways. Like if I was gonna pull this tree over, say I was gonna pull a tree over, dang, I probably left that on there for too long, and it's like permanent now. I think it is. That's crazy. That's what I get for buying a cheap one. Okay, so if I was gonna fall a tree, I'll draw it upside down so you guys can see it a little better. But yeah, my tip of the day, make sure that your inspection of whatever it is and game planning of whatever it is you're going to do is as elaborate as the risk is to the job you're going to do. So I made a big mistake. In this next video, you guys will see it. It was insane. And yeah, that reminds me. I'll make sure that I post a. I'll post a picture of that rot too when I get done here. So if you're gonna go pull this tree, so you got this tree here, and you're gonna pull it over that way. Now you could just tie your rope up here and pull it over, or you could throw it up through a fork and run the rope down and attach it down here, or wherever it is you're gonna make your notch right above it. Um, or you can actually get a mechanical advantage, or say say you don't have a direct line of where it is that you want to pull to. Say you have a tree or there's a stump out over here, and then there's a stump out over here. You see how nice them stumps were? Let me show you how you can be for sure that they are stumps. All right, check this out. Oh come on, this is stupid. Okay, yep, for sure. All right, you see the grass? Okay, ignore this big thing right here that is in the way. But say you needed to pull that over and you needed to be pulling here. You could try to tie these two together, or you could get mechanical advantage by going up here and putting yourself a block up here. So if you put a block up on top of this, what the heck? Okay, maybe I must have like left the cap off the red one or something. I don't know. So you put a block up there though, and you go to pull. What you would do, you'd have a little block up here, right there, and you would take your rope and run it from one stump where you have it anchored, run it up through your block, and then over to this one where you got your tree jack. So then, as you're pulling, you're getting that direction in the middle. Plus, you're getting a mechanical advantage from your pulley up here. So you could do that same thing and eliminate this part just to pull a tree over. So you want to put it at that stump. So you ended up putting your notch down here. You got your notch. Okay. So you could go ahead and you get a really good mechanical advantage by just taking the rope and running it down and anchoring it right above your notch. So now you're getting a little bit of mechanical advantage from where you have the block up here on your pulling system. And it's forcing that flex and that, which will bring the top over a bit easier and with a little less effort. But hopefully you can see that. I'm trying here. So you would tie right above your notch. Same thing if you were just base anchoring to pull it over, you had no block, you would just take your rope, you find a good prominent fork, because a lot of times if you're throwing a throw ball up, it is so hard to get around one section all the way around it and be able to get it cinched up correct. So I go with, a lot of times I'll throw a throw ball, it'll go up through a main fork up here. You got to make sure the fork is big enough to hold it too. You don't want to put it on some flimsy dead stub, but up through a fork and then down the backside of the tree, and just like the other one, you anchor it right above your notch. So the benefit of this, as this thing goes over, it goes up through a big enough fork, down, as it goes over, crash. Now, where normally your rope would be under the tree, your rope is on top of the tree and much easier to retrieve. So there's a few different benefits to base anchoring and stuff like that. But if you're not going down the backside of the tree to base anchor, you're still, like, you have to think of that if you use the block up in the tree, you're going to be smashing that block into the ground. And it's also going to have two sections. You have to have twice as much rope that are underneath the rope. So. With the triple fisherman is a determination knot. So at the end of the day, I'll pull the greater. Pull that knot out. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. I think we do it the exact same way. And you even put an extra loop on a fisherman. So I don't know the difference between the knots. Like, I don't know their names. I know how to do them. I didn't care. I didn't really plan on, like, my thing being teaching something. So that's where I go wrong. Is I want to help and give the information, but I end up naming something wrong. You're gonna try the right rope. Right on. Maybe. My rigging ropes are really good still right now. So in this video, it started to pour, and that's the first thing. Like, we rigged these last two sections. The video is coming up, and I was legit terrified. It started the barber chair where I had a secondary tie-in point, and I this is just my own personal opinion. If I'm doing a removal of a dead tree, I ain't doing snap cuts ever again. I've always had bad luck with them. If you're doing anything of any weight, to me, it's I'll put in a little notch because then it's forced to go a certain direction. But when it's a snap cut, it decides which way it's going to break, and then it goes off that rounded log. So like as it busts, it rolls this way a little or that way a little, depending on which part of it goes. And I had where it bypassed, and it bypassed apparently too quick. So then it just ignored it and barber chaired down it, and it got to where my secondary tie-in was with the gree, and it like started to open it up. It was pulling my hips in before it finally gave off. And I know a guy that ended up having all of his ribs broke and had to have a bunch of surgeries. It about took his life. Who he cut a big section, it barber chaired, and he had his lanyard around it, and it broke his hips and everything. Want to sleep? Right on, brother. Hey, yeah, have a good Father's Day, and thanks for hanging out, Jeffrey. I run 916 Dinosaur, and it's good to me. That's awesome. I've never bought from them guys. Guess what? April Riley? How are you? I both have the last year. That's been great. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed. Dano's been all about it. So I've the ropes I use. They've always been. I've never had an issue with them, and they've stood up to a long time abuse too for me. But what would happen is if I got to the point where I needed to buy another one, that's where you have two good products. So then it comes down to price and availability, and which one at that time is going to be better for me. So I may be hitting you up, Ground Pounder. Are you lost, April? Uh, yeah. She was like a few months ago. I think she's just, who knows. Moving alcohol will remove it. Yeah. You like those drawings? I'm so far behind on comments, so I apologize. Dang it, I hope Jeffrey didn't take off where I told him bye. Ground pounder, you crazy. I'd be surprised if my wife uses any crayons and markers back. Yeah, I'm not good with it. I always mess up, and then right after I buy a marker, like I'll come out the next morning, and I'm like, dang man, lid off of it. I'm sure there's probably some YouTube video, and now that I'm talking about it right now, there'll be a YouTube short pop up later on that tells me how to fix it. But that happened to me. Uh, I think it was yesterday. I was messing with my solar panel lights that are outside. Those little, just the cheaper ones. I bought some more expensive ones that are on like wood poles, but they said the way you fix them, because they get sun bleached and everything, is you just go over and hit them with some clear lacquer, like a clear coat, a polyurethane probably. So, and you just real quick, and they become brand new. So yeah, just a heads up to anybody who's outside messing with their solar lights. You don't have to throw them away. Try that first. I also had to go out there. We had some that were like $50 a piece, and one of them was out and it wouldn't light up. And I went out there, and apparently the rechargeable battery inside of it went dead, or like went bad. So I switched that little battery out with just a regular battery, and it's been going for a couple of days. We'll see how long it lasts. They all taste the same. It's a conspiracy. Skittles do taste the same. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you may be right. It may be placebo effect. Like I'm seeing green, so I'm like a lime, and my brain's like it's probably more something like that. Because if you think about it, you throw a bunch of them in your mouth, it just I don't know. Now I'm gonna next. I'm getting some Skittles and I'm gonna try them. My wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing over there? You've been chewing that Skittle for 15 minutes." I'm making sure it tastes like cherry. Don't let the groundies cut with the rope still in it. You'll have short ropes. Steve, also great advice. That's a good suggestion. Anytime you're pulling a tree over, you're using a rope, um, or you're getting down after a climb, and there's a bunch of brush around the tree that needs to be processed and cut up. Get your ropes out first thing before anybody starts cutting. So that's a rule of mine. You're not allowed to use the chainsaw anywhere near the base of the tree when I'm basing. That's how I roll. Yeah, yeah. Hell, I've threatened guys that well, there you just that was your day, or that'll be a couple days that you'll get nothing. So I've also I used to work with a company and they bought so many ropes and they just didn't care. They just it was a guy that was like, if that's what it took to get that job done, he would go around and get charge accounts in these small towns and then like not pay the bills. I don't know how he got so lucky. A couple of the businesses actually closed down. So he doesn't even have a bill. So I don't know. One of the rental places, listen to this. One of the rental places, one day when I came to like buy a what did I come there for? Maybe like a chain for my top handle. But I would always look. They had a few climbing things, climbing gear, and I would come in and check it out. This is Arnold Rental in Imperial, Kimmswick, Missouri, off 55 highway. Yeah. So they're gone now. But I would go in there, and he asked me one day. He's like, "Hey, can I? I need to talk to you. I'm glad you came in." And I was like, "Whoa." He's like, "I need your boss's number. I think well, I guess he forgot to bring the Bobcat back, right?" And I was like, I don't know, man. He does all kinds of stuff that I don't know about. Like, I know we didn't have a Bobcat on the job site we were at, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't somewhere else. Like, I don't know. I'm here. Here's his number. So he called him, and he was like, "Hey, can you bring that Bobcat back?" And he's like, "I don't have a Bobcat." And he's like, "Are you telling me the paperwork there shows that I have a Bobcat?" And he's like, "Well, actually, no. Well, no, not actually. I tell you what, I'll be back in touch with you. We're having a bit of an issue here, but sorry about that, and I'll be in touch." It turns out they rented somebody a Bobcat and didn't write their name down, and the guy just kept it. And that's, I think, the reason the business ended up closing down and having to shut the doors. So, as far as I'm concerned, you get one single job out of a rigging rope, you got your money's worth out of it. Yeah, on them days when they hold those pieces and they do that job, you're like, that thing's worth its weight in gold. I don't know about that, Billy. Cheeseburger flavored? Well, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, that's my problem. That's why I'm so tired. I ate a couple different burgers before I came out. So, let's see. Wish to. Yeah, yeah, ground pounder. Well, the M&M tastes the same too. What's up? Yeah, I know. Huh. They're trying to mess with us. But, guys, as always, I appreciate you. I may actually watch back the first few minutes of this live feed because at one point we had like, I think there was like 50 people in here, and I'm pretty sure at least 30 of them were bots or just trolls. It was wild. But thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. You guys, as always, are the best. I'm I'm tired. I'm gone. It's over. This is episode 10. Thank you guys for working with me on this one. I'll try to have you a better trick or tip next time, but this tip of this video, make sure you go out of your way to inspect these trees a lot of times. As much as you can. If you got a big ladder and you can get up there and inspect some of the unions, do that. If you got a drone that will go up and give you an aerial view of things, do that. Um, Go out of your way and don't make the mistake I did because I was forced out of pride. I was forced to be do some risky things because my inspection was trash. So that's my tip for this one. You guys know it all already. I don't need to tell you anything. Um, no, a lot of times I need a ladder just to like get a guy onto a roof or something to where you can lower some stuff down or you can trim a little a little bit of the pruning to where you can instead of having to climb all the way out there you can trim. I find myself where I need a ladder to get over a fence, like my little pop-up ladder is so nice to have. Like if we have to go over a fence repeatedly, we'll just put it there to where you just get over it. But yeah, I don't ever want to be forced to be on one, especially when it involves anything with a tree and cutting. Now, if it's just going up into a tree, I'd be okay with a ladder. But when you got a bunch of gear on that's catching everything and spikes and a chainsaw, it's not the funnest thing to try to climb up and the safest. So, guys, thanks again. Um, have a safe week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. To all the dads, have a great Father's Day. And yeah, subscribe if you want. Hit the thumb if you want. Hit the other thumb if you don't. Like what you've seen. And do none of it if you don't want to. See you next time. Stay safe. Switchboard. See you, brother.